picture-perfect fall day in Brazelton, Georgia, Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta for VP Racing SportsCar Challenge, race 2 of the weekend and the final event of the 2024 season. It is a chilly morning indeed. Cars out on the first of 2 reconnaissance laps to get some temperature in their Michelin tires. Let's take a look at Road Atlanta, just about an hour north of Atlanta, depending on traffic, of course. It could be an hour, it could be 3, right? But it is a roller coaster, up and down, high speed, low speed, you name it, it's got it. Turn 1, a crushing apex at a compression, uphill brings you up to 3, down through the S's, then to turn 6 and 7. 7, probably the most important corner on this racetrack, leads you down the long straightaway. Good braking zone into turn 10. Did you get the job done? Uphill, then underneath the bridge, down through 12, and across the start-finish line. That's what you need to do if you want to win here at Road Atlanta. VP Racing SportsCar Challenge, 2-class sprint format in IMSA. Welcome in, everyone. Brian Till along with Jeremy Shaw. Before we get you to race number 2 on the weekend, let's take a look back at the highlights from race number 1. Really kind of a low light for Miguel Villagomez. Could not get his Ligier LMP3 car started on the grid. Finally got it going, but he would rejoin the field last. Then the start, Jagger Jones in the black, white, and red, number 87. Big jump, but too much of a jump, too much road at the exit. He would have a penalty for that start procedure. Miguel Villagomez working up through, but one of the best battles on the racetrack in GSX. Tyler Hoffman aboard the Supra in the number 9, pounded by his good friend, number 88, Patrick Wilmot from Split Decision Motorsport. Great run for those two, showing how it's done. For Frank Depew, though, big problems coming out of turn 7, gets up on the curb, some wheel spin in his Aston Martin, and that would bring out a full course caution, a late race restart. But in GSX, Luca Mars aboard his Core Motorsport Mustang was the class of the field and has been so strong lately. He claims the win and the championship. And across the line first was Jagger Jones. Stephen Agakani follows him across the line, but we talked about that start penalty. Watch Jones down to the apex, uses all of the road at the exit, all the way out to the track out curbing, and that is considered changing lines or lanes, and therefore a 10-second post-race penalty, and that elevates Stephen Agakani to the win. Agakani has locked up the championship. And Jeremy, today it's all about bragging rights, right? I think the team championship may be on the line as well, though.
Well, that's exactly right. The team championship is very much on the line. Yesterday, if he had been able to keep the win, then Jagger Jones's team, Fast MT Racing with a Remstar, would have got a pretty substantial championship lead in the team's championship. But put back to 4th position, that means now that MLT Motorsports, locally based team, of course, right here in Atlanta, well, actually just pretty much at the racetrack, now holds a 10-point advantage going into this final round of the championship. So whichever of those cars finishes ahead of the other, number 87, which will start from the pole position, or number 6, the championship elect, Stephen Agakani, will win the team championship.
Well, and it's going to be treacherous these first couple of laps, Jeremy, as the lights out on the BMW pace car. Temperature in the 50s, and that means this racetrack, it is still shaded in places. The track temperature is going to be very cool. Obviously, the Michelin tire is cold. They're not up to temperature. They're not up to pressure. So the first couple of laps, it's going to be like a skating rink for these drivers. Remember, VP Racing SportsCar Challenge, 2 different classes of cars, prototypes, LMP3-based machinery, and then the GT machinery that you see in GSX. Those are the same GT4-based cars that you would see in the Michelin Pilot Challenge Series, and a lot of teams use this series to get their drivers more time. It is an absolutely thrilling format, and we'll be joined by a 3rd class next year with GT3-based cars. Down the hill, looking for the race start. Just like yesterday, a little bumping, a little side-by-side action. Jagger Jones pulls the trigger. He is off and running, and he leaves the lane to the outside this time. That start should be good.
Indeed so, Brian. Yeah, but once again, Agakani there leaning on Jones coming down the hill. He got away with it yesterday. I'm surprised he's able to get away with it again, quite frankly. I mean, there's no point in banging doors before the start of the race. Well, I guess there is. He's trying to pin Jones down, but it didn't work. And Jagger Jones leads through the first few corners.
And you can already see the action on Agakani's Ligier, a little loose at the top of the hill, and it's going to be a handful right now, Jeremy. The good thing about the prototypes, those cars with a lot more aerodynamic downforce, that's going to help in these opening laps. I think the drivers in the GSX category may have the taller order here in these opening laps, trying to get those tires up to temperature.
Yeah, fair comment. That's certainly going to be a challenge, but really good opening few corners there for our race leaders. Into third place is Miguel Villagomez. No problem starting that car today, but he's under intense pressure now from Marcus Pommer, who had a great run yesterday to finish on the podium.
Pommer looks to the inside. The battle heads down to turn 10. The battle for third, the bright orange and purple number 23. That's Miguel Villagomez. He had that problem with starting the car yesterday like we talked about, but he felt like he had a really good car underneath him. They ran a historic race in this same car a couple of weeks ago here. They've got a good balance on the car, but I've got to believe the weather 2 weeks ago was very different than what we've got today, and that will affect the balance of the car, especially early on. Now the battle for the lead up the hill to turn 3. Aga Khani being aggressive. He's got the championship, the Drivers' Championship wrapped up. But as you said, Jeremy, whoever finishes in front of each other today will help their team take the team championship.
Yeah, that's right. It's absolutely critical here to whoever finishes ahead to win that team's championship. And Jagger Jones a good first lap there, but Stephen Aga-Khani is really piling on the pressure here. So there's absolutely no room for a mistake. I mean, Jagger Jones was so deliberate with that start. He learned his lesson from yesterday. I thought he was a little bit unlucky, but having seen it again there, we're tracking out at the exit. The start line here is around the corner rather than at the apex, so that's why there was a penalty yesterday for Jagger Jones. I thought it was a bit harsh, but looking again, it wasn't. It was absolutely correct, of course. Why would I be questioning race control? Silly me. But today, yeah, he was very deliberate and kept that lead. Here we are though in GSX. No, a different pole sitter today. Luca Mars, having won the championship yesterday for Core Motorsports, electing not to start today, and his regular co-driver in the Michelin Pilot Challenge will take place later on this afternoon, Bob McCallion. He is driving at number 59 car. Ford instead had to start at the back. That meant that Split Decision Motorsports, Patrick Wilmot started on the pole position, but he's been jumped on that first lap by Tyler Hoffman in the new to this series Kingpin Racing Toyota.
Bob McCallion wasting no time as the battle for third in GSX heads to turn 1. The red, white, and silver BMW has the position right now. That's Mark Brumman behind the wheel, but McCallion already up to fourth in the Core Motorsport Mustang as this battle heads down through the S's now to turn 5. McCallion on a charge from the back of the pack. Meanwhile, up front in GSX, Tyler Hoffman, Patrick Wilmot, Toyota versus BMW. They have had a good run, good friends, and they had great, respectful racing yesterday, looking for the same today, and McCallion looking for a way around Brumman as they head to turn 6.
Yeah, great battling going on here once again, and Mark Brumman was battling yesterday with Scott Blind and also with Sean Quinlan as well in that Ford, who's at the tail end of that 4-car train. But Bob McCallion trying to work his way through, gets alongside now of Mark Brumman as they head down the back straight away.
Brad Till, Jeremy Shaw with you. VP Racing SportsCar Challenge action from Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta. Bob McCallion on a charge, his Mustang, as he heads into turn 10, taking the position away from Brumman in the BMW. The Mustang prancing forward, that is for sure. Meanwhile, just behind them, Scott Blind in that bright yellow number 45 Aston Martin has his rearview mirror full of the 19, another Mustang, Sean Quinlan. Quinlan with a good run yesterday in race 1.
Yeah, he really did. That was a super battle that all of these guys had. Scott Blind in that bright yellow Ruckus Racing Aston Martin. Can't miss that car in the early morning here at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta. He's clinched already the Bronze Cup Championship for GSX in that number 45 car. So he's just racing for pride today and trying to get another class win. But yesterday, he wasn't able to get that class win, so he wants to try and bounce back again today.
Jagger Jones across the line leads another lap here at Road Atlanta. And the battle in GSX for the lead continues as well. Toyota now out in front of BMW. Tyler Hoffman, used to seeing him in the IMSA paddock in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo series, but he spends a lot of time in another series in this Toyota GR Supra, knows it well, and said, hey, we want to come and run, want to get used to this series. We like the format of it, but we also want to show what our team can do, because we'd like to attract other drivers to come run with us in VP Racing SportsCar Challenge. He runs and operates the Kingpin Motorsports operation, so trying to show what not only he has behind the wheel, but what that team has. What they have right now is a very fast Toyota.
Yeah,
up the hill
and,
now, out of turn one.
Super battle these two had yesterday. Tyler Hoffman got past briefly, and then a slight mistake at turn 6 opened the door for the number 88 car of Patrick Wilmot, who filled the gap very nicely into turn 7 and held on for the remainder of the race to take the win. So a super battle between these two. I mean, two privateer teams, little teams, split decision. They've done a fantastic job this season. Already tied up second place in the championship overall for Patrick Wilmot. And I don't think that team is going to be back next year, most likely. I mean, it's a tiny team from middle of Tennessee. They work so hard and have so much fun at the same time. But I don't think they're going to be back next season, so they would love to finish off this season with a victory here.
Remember seeing them on debut at Daytona last year. Like you said, that this team has grown, and it is a family-run operation. You mentioned Middle Tennessee. Great time to mention that our hearts and thoughts are with everyone that has been affected by these hurricanes over the last couple of weeks. Those certainly Tennessee, the Carolinas, Georgia, and most recently in Florida, and Helene and Milton both affecting Florida. So a lot of teams in the IMSA paddock affected by that adverse weather as well. But right now, looking back to the battle for fourth, Mark Brumman in the BMW through turn 12 has that bright orange Mustang of Sean Quinlan behind him. And I said Quinlan had a good run yesterday, moved up and then dropped back a little bit towards the end of the race, ended up with a top 5 finish in GSX. See if he can better that today.
Yeah, that'll be a plan. A very strong start to the race yesterday and a good strong start again today. He's got past Scott Blind and now putting the pressure on Mark Brumman, who had a great run yesterday.
45-minute sprint race format in VP Racing SportsCar Challenge if you're new to it. So no pit stops. The action will continue the entire time. Hopefully no full course cautions, but a great format, and it really brings drivers along. I was talking to some of the Lamborghini representatives yesterday. They're excited about the new category being added of GT3 base cars for the 2025 season. He said, we really have no stepping stone right now between Lamborghini Super Trofeo and the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship because we don't have a GT4 based car. Oh, Agakani gets loose out of turn 7, still in the grass, and he is going to give up a position to Miguel Villagomez, and this is going to bring up an interesting battle because as soon as Agakani gets the red Georgia clay off of those Michelin tires, he is going to be back on full attack.
Wow,
But I was saying, Jeremy, about Lamborghini, they have no place to run drivers who aspire to GT3 competition. As we watched the replay of Agakani, does a great job keeping that car straight. Just steps out a little bit there at the exit, loses traction as he's trying to put almost 500 horsepower to the ground as he exits that corner. And even though the track and the tires have gotten better, Jeremy, I still don't think they have the grip that they had yesterday in the heat of the day.
No, you're right. I mean, it's a great save, though, for Agakani. But look, right there was Miguel Villagomez holding on there in that third position, now becomes second, having taken advantage of that mistake. And number 23 car, the Ecuadorian, is doing a super job here. He was fast in qualifying. Looked like on his final lap, he might have a lap that was good enough to challenge for even the pole position. Ultimately, he lost a bit of time in the final sector, so had to start third yesterday. And then, of course, the car wouldn't start on the grid, which was really annoying. So he had to start from the back of the field. But look at the run he's putting together today, and now really putting the pressure on Jagger Jones as they head down the back straight away.
Yeah, great run, and I said it earlier, Villagomez and that team here just a couple of weeks ago running, and he is looking for another podium finish. He has a second place finish at St. Petersburg and three other podium finishes, I should say, all third place finishes, but he's got a second. What can he do, Jeremy? Is it going to be another second place finish? Is it another podium, or can he get by Jagger Jones? The battle for second heads into turn one. That bright orange 23 is taking over the position with the mistake of Aga Khani in turn 7. What does he have for Jagger Jones? He is closing down on the driver of the 87, that Duquesne chassis, and Jones having to work through traffic.
Yeah, Bob Michelin there doing a really nice job to steer clear of those LMP3 cars, get out of their way and let them go through and continue their battle for the overall lead. But Jagger Jones certainly took advantage just a little bit. They could put out a bit of an edge now over Villa Gomez, but Aga Khani is putting the pressure on him. But look, right behind those two is that pair of Gebhardt Motorsports Duquesnes as well, Marcus Pommer and Valentino Catalano, both from Germany. Those two won together the German Prototype Cup Championship, which is for LMP3 cars this season. They've made the foray over here to Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta for the final rounds of the VP Racing SportsCar Challenge, and they are giving a really good account of themselves for a first visit here to this very challenging racetrack.
And this is where you learn about multi-class racing. If you've got sights set on moving up to WeatherTech, that's what VP Racing SportsCar Challenge is all about. And you talk about that Gebhardt team coming over here, very knowledgeable in the LMP3-based machinery. As you said, Jeremy, winning the LMP3 Cup Germany last year together in a Duquesne chassis. They wanted to come stateside, experience the IMSA paddock, and perhaps with an eye on the future. Now working through the lead battle in GSX, the P3 cars are down through the S's to turn 5. And Aga Khani has dropped back a little bit from Miguel Villagomez. This is big, not in the Drivers' Championship, but as you alluded to earlier, in the Team Championship. Aga Khani not only needs to get past Villagomez, he needs to get past Jagger Jones if he wants to bring that MLT team the championship.
That's right. Jagger Jones was not available for the first rounds of the season at Daytona International Speedway way back in January. So in terms of Drivers' Championship, that pretty much took away pretty much any chance of winning the championship. But the team was there with the young Canadian Marco Kasich, and as a result of that, a couple of good finishes, a fourth and a second for Kasich in Daytona. That meant that the team championship came down to this final race of the season. And right now, it's heading the way of Fast MD Racing. But look at these two Gebhardt Motorsports cars. Marcus Pommer, who's pretty experienced. He's done quite a lot of racing. He's 33 years of age nowadays, but he's been a former champion in the German Formula 3 Championship. And the youngster, his protege, Valentino Catalano, is putting the pressure on him. Meanwhile,
look at Sean Quinlan. We talked about Bob Michelin, the great run that he has had. The Mustangs are on it here at Road Atlanta, Jeremy.
They are indeed, and it's been a really nice run once again for Sean Quinlan, really getting the hang of the Stephen Cameron Racing Ford Mustang now, and he's got past Mark Drummond, so he'll be second in the Bronze Cup category because Bob Michelin has already gone past him, and but still a really good run to get past Mark Brumman, who had a super run yesterday to win the bronze category, and Scott Blind is right there as well in that Aston Martin. So a three-car train here with the Ford, the BMW, and the Aston Martin, very, very closely matched.
We talk about the Bronze Championship. There is a Bronze Drivers' Championship in P3 and GSX as well, and that is a championship within a championship, so to speak, and we'll call it for more seasoned drivers. I'm certainly well-seasoned if I were to run, right, Jeremy? You and I both well-seasoned, but for drivers a little bit older, that gives them an opportunity to run for both championships, right? You run for the Bronze Championship, but you're also running for the overall championship as well. And Miguel Villagomez on pit lane, a problem for the 23.
What a shame for him. That's really disappointing. A super run. He was running in second position. Falling back a little bit over the last couple of laps from our race leader, but it looks like it's all gone. Is that car
down on the left rear?
Yeah, it looks like it, doesn't it?
A crew member looking
really
at the left rear of the 23, the Ligier, and you see the emotion on Miguel Villagomez as he sits in the cockpit, slams his hands against the steering wheel. now shaking his head. He cannot believe it. They had the problem yesterday on the grid, and now a problem with the left rear, and I can't tell if that is perhaps a puncture or a suspension component that has given way, but it doesn't matter. The result is the same, and that takes the 23 out of contention. That is good news for Stephen Agakani. The bad news, though, still 4+ seconds to the rear wing of Jagger Jones, and then Agakani needs to get by Jones if he wants to bring that team championship to his MLT Motorsports team.
Yeah, but he's slipping back. He just said his best lap of the race is Stephen Agakani, but the last couple of laps, new fastest race laps for the race leader, Jagger Jones, who's extended his lead just a little bit now. It's almost 4.5 seconds over Agakani, and not far behind Agakani. It's this battle for third position between the two Gebhardt Motorsports teammates. Marcus Palmer still holds it, and a youngster, just 18 years of age, Valentino Catalano, in that red and black car, is all over the back end now of Marcus Palmer.
It must have been a puncture on the left rear for Miguel Villagomez. He heads back out of pit lane. But yeah, you were talking about this battle, and for Marcus Palmer and Valentino Catalano, you got to think about it, Jeremy. Speaking to that team yesterday, they said, we know we've been successful in the series that we're running in Germany, but you know, when you're successful, you want to then reach out and test yourself against other series, against other drivers in other parts of the world, and that's what attracted them to the IMSA paddock and to VP Racing SportsCar Challenge. Will we see this team here next year? That remains to be seen, but the Gebhardt name is one that is familiar in the IMSA paddock if you're a historian and you remember the beautiful Momo Group C cars from back in the day. It was Gebhardt Racing who fielded those cars, and it would be great to see them back in the IMSA paddock next year in some class, whether that's in WeatherTech or right here in VP Racing SportsCar Challenge. And a problem now for Quinlan. Around in the 19 at the exit of turn 7. This is where we saw Frank Depew have the issue yesterday.
And the good news for Sean Quinlan is he kept the car off the fence there, didn't make any contact, but looks like it stalled the engine, unable to get it going again immediately. Let's see what happened there. Was there any contact?
I think he gets help from Mark Brumman, Jeremy.
It's a bit like it, didn't it?
And it's interesting, as they came through the corner, it looked like Brumman was slightly to the inside and perhaps got into the right rear of the 19 of Quinlan. I don't know, maybe Quinlan was loose before that, and that sudden checkup is what got Brumman into him. We don't have a great shot. It's a long distance shot to it, but the two definitely got together. I'm not sure what started it, and Villagomez back in pit lane, so perhaps a puncture was not the total answer to the problem, or running on that punctured tire perhaps did some damage, but for Miguel Villagomez now back on pit lane.
Yeah, shame for him certainly, but meanwhile Jagger Jones is extending his lead now. It's actually stabilized over the last few laps, and in the GSX he's coming up to put a second lap now on Mark Brumman's in the Auto Technic BMW, who's running in the 5th position in GSX, and as a result of that little contact, Scott Blinder's got past both Mark Brumman and Sean Quinlan, who has he got that car going again yet? Yeah, I think he has, but he's a long, long way back. There's Miguel Villagomez out of the number 23 Abro car.
Right now, up front, Jagger Jones leads over Stephen Agakani in P3 at VP Racing SportsCar Challenge from Road Atlanta. Brian Sill, Jeremy Shaw with you. GSX, Tyler Hoffman in his Toyota GR Supra out in front of Patrick Wilmot aboard his BMW. And for Jagger Jones, looking to make amends for the mistake that he made as a driver at the start of yesterday's race. He had been perfect on the racetrack after joining the series in the 3rd round at St. Petersburg. Not winning every race in the points category, but winning every race on the racetrack. He had a mechanical problem that they found in tech post-race at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, which took a victory away, and then the mistake that he made yesterday at the start took victory away. But he has been absolutely magic on the racetrack, and when I look at Jagger Jones and Stephen Agakani, two very different drivers, Jeremy, but I think they are very much a part of the future of the IMSA paddock moving forward. Two young drivers with an immense amount of talent. And the thing that impresses me more than the talent of those two young drivers is the maturity level. I look at Stephen Agakani over the years and how he has matured and the decisions that he has made and how he has managed this championship this year. And for Jagger Jones, somewhat of an unknown, and he stepped into one of these prototypes, somewhat of an unknown, I should say, in the IMSA paddock, stepped into one of these prototypes last year and immediately impressed. The grandson of Parnelli Jones, who obviously needs no introduction to race fans. His father was PJ Jones, and PJ very successful both in the IMSA paddock for Toyota and their GTP cars back in the day, also for Dan Gurney in the IndyCar series, and a great lineage there. And these two young drivers, like I said, very different on the racetrack and how they approach it, but their mindset, I think, is very, very mature. And Mark Brumman now to pit lane.
Yeah, there's a penalty for incident responsibility for number 25 car, that contact with Sean Quinlan down at turn 7. So a drive-through penalty there for Mark Brumman in car number 25, the Autotechnic Racing BMW.
Thought that might be the problem, so he's going to get a drive-through penalty, but he stopped at the end of pit lane like it was a stop and go. Looking at the timing screen, it simply says drive-through. So we'll see if Brumman gets back out there. Meanwhile, the teammates of Marcus Palmer and Valentino Catalano, I should say, apologize, down the back straightaway again. And it's kind of the instructor over the student, right? We talked about that yesterday, Jeremy, for Valentino Catalano, 18 years of age, and he is a scholarship winner. The ADAC GT Championship in Europe hands out scholarships, and that's what allowed him to be in this prototype this year. And his protege, or his instructor, I should say, the driver that he looks up to, the driver that he paired with in the championship there, Marcus Palmer aboard the 31. Interesting to be racing against your teammate that you shared a championship winning car with all year long, right? And now you're trying to do battle with him on the racetrack. And it's kind of one of those deals of, is the master just toying with the student behind him, or does Catalano actually have a shot? He was right on the rear wing yesterday of Palmer at the finish.
Yeah, well, certainly Palmer doesn't want to be beaten. He's just turned his best lap of the race last time around, and on this subsequent lap, Catalano got a little bit of traffic there, so he's dropped back a bit. He's now going to have to put his head down and try and close that gap once again to Marcus Palmer. But a really good debut for this pair at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. This is not the easiest track to learn. I mean, it's really fast, no room for error, or very little room for error. And both of them have done an excellent job here. And Catalano clearly is a very good student.
Very good student indeed. And Jagger Jones through turn one more time. Agakani pressing. He knows his championship is done, but he's looking to bring his team that same title as well, the title of champion in VP Racing SportsCar Challenge. Jagger Jones trying to throw cold water on that, and that would be easy to do today since it is so cold outside. But they're going to have traffic to work with here shortly as Jagger Jones begins to close in on Jonathan Hirschberg aboard the 86 and Stakos at the 61, who are involved in their own little battle just in front.
Yeah, they are, aren't they? That's been a battle that's been going on all the way through this race. John Hirschberg was overtaken by George Stakos at the start, and the Canadians managed to hold on to that position. I'm sure we'll want to do so for the remaining 20 minutes of this race, just over half distance then in the 45-minute race. And that's one of several battles that are raging throughout this field. But Jagger Jones, no, he's lapping with very admirable consistency at the front of the field, maintaining a gap of a little bit over 4 seconds over Stephen Agakani, and that's all he needs to do to win that team's championship for Fast MD Racing with Remco. Talking
to Jagger Jones yesterday, he said, you know, he wants to test an LMP2 car, would love to run at the Rolex 24 in an LMP2 car if he had the opportunity, if the seat presented itself. I think both of these drivers, we were talking about Stephen Agakani as well, the young drivers who've really been the class of the P3 category all season long. I think they would slide into the seat of LMP2 car very, very easily and impress there. It'll be interesting to see if that comes to fruition, but those are the goals that they certainly have set. For John Hirschberg, saw him briefly in the paddock yesterday. Tyler Hoffman, who's leading in GSX right now, we talked about him having experience in Lamborghini Super Trofeo. So does Hirschberg. And I saw Hirschberg yesterday, and his eyes were kind of wide open. He goes, this is a very different ballgame than the Lamborghini Super Trofeo car. And you think about it, Jeremy, the Lamborghini, big-time horsepower, big-time straight-line speed, but the aerodynamics and the stiffness of the chassis just aren't nearly the same. So the cornering capabilities of the P3 cars much, much higher than that of a Lamborghini Super Trofeo car as that battle heads to turn one, looking down to the inside, trying to slide by John Hirschberg, Stakos, and now Stephen Agakani has to deal with that battle as he moves to the inside, trying to get inside Hirschberg, heading into turn three. He's got to put it all on the line. He's got that team championship that he's after, manages to slide through, but that, I thought it was going to bring Stakos back into the battle with Hirschberg, but John Hirschberg gets it gathered back up. But, you know, talking about the performance capabilities of these P3 cars, they are absolutely rocket ships. Very, very quick in the corner, and very, very different than the cars that John Hirschberg and Tyler Hoffman are used to in Lamborghini Super Trofeo.
Yeah, meanwhile, third position in GSX, having started at the back of the field, is Bob Michelin. This is the car with which Luca Mars has already clinched yesterday the championship in GSX, number 59, race for RP Ford Mustang from that Core Motorsports group. He started at the back, but has worked his way up to third position, and he's actually closing now on Patrick Wilmot, that BMW, who's not far ahead of him. And last time around, Bob Michelin set a new fastest lap for GSX in this race. So Bob Michelin from Long Beach, California, is putting a really good run here. This is great for him. I mean, this is what he needs going into this afternoon's Michelin Pilot Challenge race, where he and Luca Mars will be sharing an identical Ford Mustang for the Core Motorsports team, and they've had some good, strong results there together this season. And Bob Michelin now taking advantage, I think, of this extra track time.
Well, it's exactly what VP Racing SportsCar Challenge is all about, Jeremy, right? It gives you the time and type. You can move into Michelin Pilot SportsCar Challenge as the full course caution is now out. Not exactly sure why. And there is the answer, the 61 of Stakos in the gravel. So he has had a problem. I can't exactly tell where that is on that tight shot, but Stakos in the gravel. And once you're in these deep gravel traps, they're there to do exactly that. They're to arrest the car and keep it out of the wall, and that's what this gravel trap has done. I believe it is at the exit of 10B. Let's see if we can take a look and see what happens. Just lost it in between the two corners. The car loops to the outside, and once you're there, you're there.
Yeah, he'd actually lost the position to John Hirschberg, but then maybe tried to make up some ground at the chicane, lost it, and he's going to be stuck in the gravel. So that's going to be a breather for some of these other contenders. Not emphatically what Jagger Jones wanted, out in front in that Fast MD Racing with that Remstar Duquesne chassis, and that is going to bring Stephen Agakani right back onto his tail for what will be, you know, at least a 10-minute shootout, I think, for the final race of the season.
One of the things that we've seen throughout the season is Jagger Jones get up to speed very, very early on starts and restarts. And I would think the good news about this full course caution, Jeremy, it should be a short one. This is just a grab and go for the AMR safety team. Hook him up, pull him out of the gravel. There's no damage to the car. And for Stakos, he should be able to get the car moving very quickly and back to green flag conditions, I would think, very quickly for the competitors. That's the good news. For Stephen Agakani, you think it's good news that it's brought Jagger Jones back to him, but the bad news is just behind him, right, Jeremy? And that is Marcus Palmer and Valentino Catalano. They are right there now. So this is going to intensify that battle for the top three positions in the LMP3 cars, the P3 class. And for Tyler Hoffman, who had pulled out a big lead over his friend Patrick Wilmot in that split decision racing BMW. Well, that's going to bring the fight to them. And don't forget, Bob Michelin in that Mustang has been charging forward from the back of the pack. Now he's going to have a good shot at both Wilmot and Hoffman here when we go back to green. We're just under 15 minutes to go, so plenty of time in this race to see the complexion change.
Yeah, very much so. Bob Michelin having set the fastest lap of the race in GSX. He's very much in the groove there, and he's certainly going to try and take the battle to those other cars ahead of him, the Kingpin Racing Toyota of Tyler Hoffman and the split decision motorsports BMW of Patrick Wilmot. Meanwhile, in LMP3, I reckon it's going to be a four-car battle because Valentino Catalano has turned some really good laps during this race. Looking at each driver's fastest lap during this race so far, the top four cars, Jagger Jones, Stephen Agacani, Marcus Pommer and Valentino Catalano, their fastest laps have all been within 0.2 of a second. The fastest lap of the race has been set by Jagger Jones, a 1:17.298, which is a stout effort. That's only half a second or so away from his qualifying time from yesterday. But for Catalano, his best lap is a 17.402, which is faster than Stephen Agacani. So we should have quite a battle here in LMP3 in the closing stages.
Got to get the field gathered up, and right now, safety car has most of the field headed up to turn one. Still have some stragglers back around the racetrack that need to catch up, and then we can go back to racing here. Good to see the fans out of the tents, out of the motorhomes, out of the hotel rooms, and around the racetrack. It's breakfast time. Some tortillas going on the grill and some coffee being served up. Breakfast time in Brazelton. And these guys have it sorted out. They've got the lounge chairs, the Barca loungers almost. I'm wondering if they're recliners or they just borrowed these out of their grandmother's living room there beside the racetrack. Where do you see bronze-colored high-back chairs sitting around racetracks very often? They look like they were velour, very, very special race seats.
Yeah, pretty impressive, I must admit. Yeah, I mean, these race fans
Somebody's
come prepared,
missing furniture out of their living room, Jeremy.
Yeah, yeah. The question is,
or
do
the
they
hotel
know it?
room.
Oops.
They may have to take it back to Holiday Inn when they're done here with the weekend. Lights out on the BMW safety car. We should be green this time by, and it will be just under 12 minutes, probably somewhere right around 11 minutes to go by the time the cars get to the line. That is plenty of time for action, and this has brought the field back together. It's almost like the first part of a basketball game. Yeah, it's all well and good, but the action happens in the closing minutes. It's going to be the same thing here at Road Atlanta. Jagger Jones brings the field back to the restart. Brian Till, Jeremy Shaw with you, VP Racing SportsCar Challenge, the final race of the 2024 season from Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. Back to green, Jagger Jones flashes down the hill through the apex of turn 12, looks for the green flag, he's got it. Now he heads to turn one. Look for the battle behind. Stephen Agacani in the silver and turquoise, number 6, needs the position, needs to get in front of Jagger Jones for the team championship. Meanwhile, all those behind them, championships are done and sorted. It's all about pride now. What can you do in this final round? What statement can you make in the closing laps of the 2024 season?
Yeah, for Jagger Jones, another win is all he wants here. Unfortunately for Victor Catalano, he got held up there by John Hirschberg, the lap car. He's found a way past now, so there's a bit of a deficit to Marcus Pommer who's going to have to make up. Meanwhile, in the GSX category, Tyler Hoffman still leads, and unfortunately some traffic also for Patrick Wilmot there to negotiate. He's actually getting past the one of the LMP3 cars. I think that's probably
George Stakos.
George Stakos, yeah, who's a lap down, a couple of laps down after that trip into the gravel.
Lead battle through turn 10, and Jagger Jones doing what he's done all year long. I talked about this earlier, Jeremy. Seems to get that car underneath him, that Duquesne chassis underneath him very, very quickly on starts and restarts. And even if you start to turn the identical lap times of your nearest competitor, if you can grab that 2/10, 3/10 of a second there on that first lap when the tires are a little bit colder, that's an advantage that you can hold to the end, you hope. And speaking of advantages, Patrick Wilmot runs second in GSX in his split decision Motorsports BMW as he heads up the hill out of turn one. A little bit loose, a little bit of a slide, but right behind him, Bob Michelin, filling in for Luca Mars today, started at the back of the GSX field, which was a little smaller this weekend because of, like we talked about, some teams, weather conditions down in Florida and such, doing the right thing, staying home with their friends and family if they felt like they needed to. But Bob Michelin moving forward. Interestingly enough, though, Jeremy, that core motorsports team based out of Daytona, that Dean Martin-led squad said, you know what? I think we need to go to the race. We're going to be okay here. We've got everything buttoned up. We'll be fine. And they headed here to Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, and Bob Michelin putting on a great show here in that core motorsports Mustang.
Well, he really is, and meanwhile at the front, Stephen Agacani very much keeping the pressure on Jagger Jones, just over half a second between that pair as they cross the line that time. Just a second or so back is Marcus Pommer, and Valentino Catalano has closed that gap to Pommer as well. The fastest car, well, all four cars, their lap times are almost identical within about a half a second on that last lap with just 8.25 minutes remaining.
Bob Michelin is there. The battle for second in GSX down the front straightaway into turn one. Wilmot, the blue and silver split decision Motorsport BMW, has the Mustang behind, and now Michelin probing, looking for an opportunity, is Tyler Hoffman in the Toyota, pulling out another car length or two. He's got the lead in GSX. He and Wilmot had such a great battle yesterday, but it seems like the Toyota may be a little bit better in these cooler conditions. The car that really seems to shine in GSX right now is the Mustang. Meanwhile, Stephen Agacani, second overall, the number 6, trying to hunt down Jagger Jones, and Jagger Jones just continuing a little bit at a time to eke out that lead. It was 9/10 of a second last time by, now just over a second, so he's just a 1/10 of a second or two quicker each lap, Jeremy, and that's got to be massively frustrating for Agacani.
Yeah, and a new fastest lap of the race on that tour there for Jagger Jones.
The Mustang looks like it has another gear, Jeremy. I mean, Bob Michelin just drove by Patrick Wilmot down the back straightaway, easily taking the position. Michelin from last, now to second.
Yeah, really nice run it's been for that Ford Mustang, and we clearly got the pace this weekend over the BMW, looks like, and poor Patrick Wilmot, he was pretty much just sitting duck there. Nothing he could do about that one, but it's still been a great season for that split decision motorsports team, and he's not given up yet. Yesterday he was overtaken by Tyler Hoffman, but fought back to regain that position. Can he do the same with Bob Michelin? He's right on his tail as they head down the hill.
Looks to the inside, Wilmot does, down through the S. It's hard to get it done there. The BMW may have the handling through the tighter sections. Certainly the Mustang seems to have the legs down the back straightaway. Wilmot now looking towards turn 6. Difficult to get it done there too. We saw Patrick Wilmot with an absolutely magical move into turn 7 yesterday. Can he duplicate it today? Not close enough now.
No, and no mistake there from Bob Michelin either. So now we're onto the straightaway. That Ford, I think it's probably going to stretch its legs. Look at it pull away there. Wow, that's incredible. Wow. He's pulled out, there's a mistake for Agacani.
Agacani with a moment coming out of turn 4. I'm not sure if he was checking up a little bit because of the GSX car in front of Frank Depew, but the battle just behind Palmer and Catalano. Catalano thought he might be able to get around his teammate Palmer. They were side by side for a moment.
Great battling here. Let's see what happens. Yeah, Agacani just ran a little bit wide there, made a lunge to the inside to get past that GSX car, and then slid wide onto the grass, and does a good job of maintaining control of that number 6 car.
Yeah, I mean, hats off again to Stephen Agacani, and I talk about his maturity and development over the years. That kind of move was one that he saved all season long to make sure he had the championship. Now he's driving for the team championship, and he's going to be a little more willing to throw caution to the wind, a little bit of a desperation move to some extent. He's got to stay with Jagger Jones. He knows he needs to do that for the championship, for the team. Willing to risk a little more right there. Not a move that was crazy, but certainly a little more risky than we've seen him make, but he needs that kind of a move right now if he needed to stay with Jagger Jones. And that mistake has cost him. He's dropped back from just over a second to over 3 seconds behind the rear wing of the 87 at this point.
Yeah, he's going to need a mistake here from Jagger Jones, is Stephen Agakani, to get that win today and to get that team's championship for MLT Motorsports on home soil. But meanwhile, Marcus Palmer, he's hanging on the best he can, but Catalano is on his tail as well. That battle for third and fourth in the LMP3 category.
Interesting though, just in from race control, bottom of the timing screen, car 31 penalty, pass under yellow, 10-second post-race penalty. So that should be relayed to Marcus Palmer in the car right now, so he knows what he needs to do. But trying to find 10 seconds on Valentino Catalano is going to be difficult, and that same message should be relayed to Catalano via his radio. Hey, stay close. It's going to be okay. You'll have the position at the checkered flag because your teammate is going to be moved behind you with that time penalty.
Yeah, both of those two finished on the podium yesterday as a result of the penalty for Jagger Jones. And it looks like Catalano is going to have another podium finish here, because there's no way that Palmer is going to pull out 10 seconds over him unless it's a major mistake from Valentino Catalano. We've seen no hint of anything like that during this entire weekend.
For Stephen Agakani, each time he comes out of turn 5, each time he comes out of turn 7, he looks forward, sees the rear wing of Jagger Jones, number 87, Duquesne, get a little bit smaller, and the frustration must build. He knows he's got the Drivers' Championship, but it's teams that get you there, and he desperately wants the team championship for all of those at MLT Motorsports that have given him such a great car all year long, and the frustration, I'm sure, building. And that young man behind the wheel, knowing that that seems to be slipping away. It's not over until it's over, just over 2 minutes to go, but it seems like the reality of a team championship beginning to get a little bit dimmer. Meanwhile, for Tyler Hoffman, the reality of a win in VP Racing SportsCar Challenge in just his second race becoming a little brighter for him.
Yeah, it's been an excellent weekend for that Kingpin Racing squad to come here for the very first time. They had a bit of an error in qualifying, set some good lap times in qualifying, but those lap times were annulled because they touched the car on the pit lane before they were allowed to. That's a no-no in IMSA. It's the same in all the series. So that team new to the IMSA VP Racing SportsCar Challenge had overlooked that regulation, so they had to start from the back. But a good run yesterday to get himself onto the podium, and an even better run today, looking for that first win just within a couple of minutes now of taking that.
Down the straightaway one more time. Time counting down, and Jagger Jones having to deal with GSX traffic once again. Bob McKaylee in the next car that he will click off. That's the second place car, the Mustang, as they head down the hill to turn 12. For Jagger Jones, the white flag waves. One more lap around Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta. The championship has slipped away after missing the first 2 rounds at Daytona, but winning in the final event here and having a great weekend, a great season, will be of some solace to that team. And you think about, we talk about teams that work so hard. We were talking about MLT. You think about that Fast MD Racing with Rimstar program. I mentioned it in the race yesterday. The vast majority of the crew members, somewhere between 20 and 22 years old. So this series not only training the drivers and giving them experience and top-level racing, well, it's doing the same thing for team members as well. So a great job by this program all year long to put Jagger Jones at the top of the timesheets and in victory lane And if he can do it today, it'll be for the 8th time in victory lane.
Yeah, well, yes, indeed. It'll be the 10th time he's taken the checkered flag out front, but it'll be the 8th win for Jagger Jones, the youngster originally from Arizona, and he's just been absolutely picture perfect today.
Jagger Jones through turn 12 one more time, another victory in VP Racing SportsCar Challenge, his 8th of the season. And looking back to GSX, Tyler Hoffman, in only his 2nd race in VP Racing SportsCar Challenge, takes Toyota to victory lane. Kingpin Racing will celebrate here at Road Atlanta.
Yeah, well deserved by that team as well. Bob Michelin comes home in 2nd position. Another podium for Patrick Wilmot in 3rd, and Scott Blind will take 2nd in the bronze category behind Bob Michelin.
Great 2024 season, Jeremy, and you think about it, and yeah, the field a little smaller than what we were used to seeing here, but for good reason. We talked about teams that couldn't be here because of the weather conditions and such that we had. Both teams and drivers, the team may have been from somewhere else, but we had a lot of drivers from the southeastern area of the United States affected by the weather as of late, but that did not put a damper on the racing on the racetrack. And for Tyler Hoffman, he will celebrate big time. I know he had a great weekend racing with his good friend there in the 88, Patrick Wilmot. We saw pat heads around the racetrack, those outlines of Patrick Wilmot's face that the fans were holding. There's a look at the unofficial results. Jagger Jones with another great performance. Stephen Agakani doing everything he could to bring the team championship to MLT Motorsports. Comes up just a little short. And great to see newcomers with the performance that they had in the Gebhardt squad, Valentino Catalano and Marcus Palmer.
Yeah, Catalano does get that 3rd position, so 2 podium finishes on his debut in North America for the 18-year-old German. And farther back in the GSX category, the first win of the season in just its first weekend here for Kingpin Racing and Tyler Hoffman. Scott Blind has already clinched the Bronze Cup Championship in GSX, finishes in 11th position.
And for Miguel de la Gomez, disappointing weekend for him, but he had the performance. He just didn't have the luck, and that is what racing is made of a lot of the time. VP Racing SportsCar Challenge certainly did not disappoint in 2024. It will be bigger, it will be even better in 2025 as the season grows to 3 different classes. Action all around the racetrack. It's what we're used to seeing here. Checkered flag on a great 2024 season. For Jeremy Shaw, I'm Brian Till. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next year.